Hey, everybody. All right, we're live. Welcome. It's BW here with a live How the Hell Are You special breaking news presentation. Hi, I am still, as you can see, not quite set up for my new presentation yet, new laptop and all that jazz, but enjoy the very yellow-orangish hue to this live stream that's going on right now. We've got breaking news. Tomoyuki Sugano. Tomoyuki Sugano has signed with the Baltimore Orioles. Jeff Passan dropping the Passan bomb just minutes ago. Well, now about a half hour ago. It took me a minute to throw up a thumbnail and what have you, but right-hander Tomoyuki Sugano and the Baltimore Orioles are in agreement for a one-year, $13 million contract. Sugano is 35 years old, one of the best pitchers in the Nippon Japanese Professional Baseball League last year. He posted a 1.67 ERA over 156 and two-thirds innings, walking just 16 batters. So this guy averages less than one batter walked per nine. And, again, the ERA is ridiculous. That's Bob Gibson peak crazy. But, of course, how will these sort of numbers translate over to the majors? Well, there's a lot of questions to ask. And, folks, I'll be perfectly honest. I'm not a Sugano expert. I don't follow the Japanese Professional League with any regularity, even though I am geographically a lot closer than any of you perhaps watching this might be. But I do remember the name. Sugano's name came up as a potential move over to the States a few years back. Obviously, at the age of 35, he's been around for a while, and he is one of the better pitchers over there. So there was a lot of, there was a lot of buzz and optimism about what he could possibly do for a team that might sign him here a few years ago. So if you search on YouTube, Sugano, what you'll find, as I have, is a lot of content talking about him as, is he the next Japanese major league star? This is 4 years ago. The next star Japanese pitcher, Sugano. Could he be going to the Mets or the Blue Jays or the Giants? This is from 3 years ago. So as you can see, when he was in his earlier 30s, apparently he was also involved in the World Baseball Classic in 2017, which I have to admit, I did not see that, WBC. But yeah, so Sugano has been on the big stage before. Right-hander. I'd love to know more about the guy. It's a $13 million one-year deal. So right off the bat, sight unseen, it's a deal that worst case scenario is just like, well, we missed, but it's a smart move because look, obviously this guy is a major league talent. Big teams are scouting this guy, and he's coming off a big year. Now, you say 35, that's old. It's 1 year. Evaldi is like, what, 34? Like, we were looking at him for probably 2 or 3 years if signing him. So, yeah, that's not a factor. There's certain pitchers, and look, this guy doesn't strike out guys, obviously. Just looking at this one stat from Passan, I mean, 111 strikeouts in 156 innings. That's like 6 Ks per 9. That's on the lower end of strikeout stuff. So he's all about pitching to contact and getting outs. Hey there, Mr. Hyde. Good to see you. If for no other reason than because you're the first person to show up in the chat. But, yeah, so what we're looking at here is not, again, and this is another reason, most people that scout in baseball and like to hype young talent, that's all about the youth, and it's all about how hard you can throw. Here's a guy that's old, and he doesn't throw hard. So why would anybody talk about him, right? Exactly. And if you look at a lot of the response to this transaction. Of course, you've got all of your. I need people on Twitter to understand something. You're not that clever. In fact, you're extremely the antithesis of clever. It's predictable and it's boring. But of course, everyone's like, "Oh, is this supposed to be the Corbin Burnes answer to Corbin Burnes?" I don't think this move and the status of Corbin Burnes have any connection. I'll tell you what does have a connection here, though, because you've got another huge arm out there that might be just as good, if not better, than Corbin Burnes, by the name of Roki Sasaki. And the deal with Sasaki coming over, the young man that he is, he's sort of restrained as far as the sort of money he can make from a team that signs him over here. He's basically got this window of, I think, of just like a few $1 million, like just like 2 or 3 million, something like that. So for him, it's more of just a preference of where he wants to sign, where he feels the best fit is for him. There has been reporting saying that he would actually prefer to play in a market that isn't like, crazy big, like a New York or an LA, that he would actually prefer a smaller market, maybe with less pressure on him, a little easier to assimilate, or however you want to put it. So, of course, being an Orioles fan and being the perpetual dreamer that I am, I'm thinking, well, great. If anybody could sign this guy, let's see if the Orioles can lure him. But I'm thinking to myself, well, why would Sasaki come here? What is the appeal to coming to Baltimore? Because, for one, we don't really have any Japanese players. We don't. We had Fujinami for a few months. That didn't quite work out. But otherwise, yeah, we don't really have on the team and the farm. Scouting-wise, we just really haven't dipped into the Japanese market much. So I'm thinking, well, Sasaki's not going to want to be here. But I tell you what, you just signed a 35-year-old veteran Japanese League all-star pitcher. I mean, he might even be – we have to look more at Sugano's stats. But, I mean, if Japan has their own version of the Hall of Fame, he might be a Hall of Famer over there that we just picked up. Again, coming off a season posting a 1.67 ERA. Now, look, this is not this guy is going to be like an ace if he translates to Major League Baseball in terms of how effective he'll be when on the mound. But keep in mind, again, it's showing here 156 and 2/3 innings. They don't pitch as many innings over in Japan. They don't play as many games, I'm pretty sure. I think they play like 20 less. I could be completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure about that. In fact, I probably just shouldn't have said anything when I'm not sure. But I'm pretty strongly feeling that you'll just see in general innings for even the best pitchers that are fully healthy and capable of pitching 7 innings a game or whatever, that you're not going to see a 200 innings guy over there just because of the season's a little bit shorter. But look, if this guy can give us 160, 170 innings, make 28 to 30 starts, I'm just going to go ahead and chalk up he's not every 5 days. That's maybe asking a little bit too much, but yeah, if we handle this guy right, this looks like a really good signing to me. And of course, nobody really. So yeah, I see somebody replying with a tweet like, "What an absolute waste of money." And of course, this is before even I dig a little deeper into knowing a little bit more about Sugano. And I'm saying back to him, it's a 1-year deal. So no major investment in time. In fact, it's the minimum. And it's $13 million. Severino just got paid $15 million for multiple years for a team going nowhere except away from Oakland. And for that, you're getting an arm with those stats? And maybe Roki Sasaki would want to come now that, he's got somebody he can mentor him and share the language with. I mean, if you're Sasaki, do you really want to come to a team with no other Japanese players. I mean, obviously, players from the past have done it simply because, obviously when Ichiro came over, he was the only guy, so he needed an interpreter to everywhere he went. But if you got an opportunity to settle in with a team that's already got a player or two from Japan, that definitely makes it a lot easier and more enjoyable, I would think. I mean, it would be for me. I'd feel a whole lot more comfortable. So I'm just saying. I'm not saying, look, Sasaki could go anywhere. I think it would be silly to bet where you think he's going to go. People seem to think the Padres is the most desired location. Let's say he does go to the Padres. Well, guess what? Dylan Cease is now definitely on the trade block. I don't know if they've got his name out there that he's a guy you can trade for, but I really think the Padres are going to wait to see whether or not they can get Sasaki before they officially move on from Cease. But if they do put Cease on the trade block, between him and Castillo and Framber Valdez, and we sign one of those guys, if we trade for one of those guys and we got Sugano in there as well, I'm at this point probably more a fan of trying to get Framber Valdez, although I've heard recently from the Astros front office that they're saying that because they've already traded Kyle Tucker, that they're not as keen or as much in a need to offload Valdez. But I'm also hearing sort of like, well, they're just saying that to be coy or whatever, that Valdez is indeed still available for the right price. But I would prefer Valdez over the other guys simply because he's left-handed. Because with Sugano now, you're looking at a rotation with all right-handed pitchers. I'd like to get a lefty in there. So that would seem to be the fit. I was like, if we're going to trade for a lefty, we should probably go for Luzardo. If we're going to sign a lefty, maybe we look at Sean Manaea. But I feel like we need a lefty in there. Anywho, let's take a look at some Sugano highlights. Michael, how you doing? Edward, how you doing? Yeah, Edward, I think, what you're getting is a guy that's been around the block. Like you say, he knows how to handle himself, take care of himself. Again, he was flirting and was being courted by major league teams a few years back. At the time, he was I wouldn't say he's the Sasaki of that time because of his age. But, he was still 30 at this point. I don't know, maybe more like a Daisuke Matsuzaka, or I don't know. Just name a hype Japanese player or pitcher. Hopefully he'll be a little better than Masahiro Tanaka. I guess that's another comparison. Tanaka. But yeah, he doesn't throw hard. Maybe he used to younger in his career, but the strikeouts would say that 2 years ago he faced Yamamoto in spring training. Anyway, I'd like to, I don't know. Let's watch Robbie Hyde break down who Tomoyuki Sugano is. Excuse me. This advertisement brought to you by...
What's going on, baseball fans? How you doing? So, in today's video, I wanted to go over a pitcher that you may not have heard too much about as of right now, and that's...
Keep in mind, this is from over 4 years ago. So... Yeah, 1.67 ERA, Michael. I mean, for a closer that pitches 50 innings, that's elite. For a starter that can give you 162, that's nuts. Now, obviously, again, will that translate over? You probably have to bump him up. But, man, if you're... Unless he... But I think it's offset. You're offset by the fact that, okay, maybe you're facing better hitters on a more consistent basis over in Major League Baseball. In fact, it's not a maybe. It's a definitely. But in reverse, at least for the first few months, if not first full year, being in America, like no player has seen you. No player has actually had to, like everybody, I always feel like a pitcher has the advantage. when you're facing pitcher versus batter first time or first couple of times. It's the pitchers. I don't know if I can make a comparison yet, Michael. I mean, other than the fact that he's not even left-handed. I don't know. I don't know the best comparison. Maybe Robbie Hyde will give us one right here. Let's listen in.
Tomoyuki Sugano from Japan. He was just posted in the last few days. So in this video today, I wanted to go over what is he all about.
I'm going to enjoy some breakfast while I watch.
So let's not waste any more time. Let's get to it. When it comes to the free agent market this year for starting pitching, you think of guys like Trevor Bauer, Jake Odorizzi, Masahiro.
This just shows you how much has changed in just 3-4 years. Listen to these names that were all the rage on the free agent market at this winter.
Tanaka, James Paxton, and others. However, what if I told you that there's a name out there that could also be a really good investment, but no one is really talking about him? That one guy to keep an eye on is Tomoyuki Sugano out of Japan. He's the next pitcher out of Japan that is drawing a lot of buzz, like Kenta Maeda, Masahiro Tanaka, Yu Darvish, Hiroki Kuroda, and Daisuke Matsuzaka. There's a lot of reasons why he's drawing a lot of buzz, so let's take a dive into why teams should be interested in his services.
I'm already looking, just watching him throw one pitch. He's definitely got that classic Japanese delay. Does that sound racist? I don't mean it to. But culturally, the pitchers over there, they always seem to have a timing mechanism with their pitching delivery. And it's usually like a purposeful delay to kind of throw hitters off balance. And obviously, if this guy's not a high velocity guy, excuse me, this is why I shouldn't be eating while talking. Okay. So yeah, not a high velocity guy. Got to depend on pitching the contact. Got to depend on keeping hitters off balance. And one of the ways you can do that is to have a very tricky delivery. And it looks like he does. You look at this pitch right here. There's a lot of
reasons why he's drawing a lot of buzz.
First of all, the way he just swings that glove back, that's a little odd.
So let's take a dive.
He really holds
dive into why teams.
Yeah, there's definitely a bit of a. There's definitely a bit of, like, a power pitcher is already got the arm rocked back at this point. You see how he's still, look where this ball is by the time he's already planting his foot. He's not even, yeah. Interesting.
Interested in his services.
All right, his repertoire. This is good to know. I like to know. I hope he's like a 5-pitch pitcher, and I hope he's got one pitch that's a little bit unique, maybe a big splitter or I don't know, a slurve or something. What do you got?
Let's start off by breaking down exactly what you're going to see from Tomoyuki Sugano. First and foremost, he's not going to blow guys away, as he'll sit in the lower 90s most of the time, but he can ramp it up to the mid 90s. He has two different types of fastballs, one being a 4-seamer and the other being more of a 2-seamer, with both.
Okay, so he's got a 2-seam and 4-seam fastball, low 90s. Obviously, with a 2-seamer against righties, that'll tail back toward this side of the plate and move away a little bit from lefties. But generally, that's a good pitch against righties, is the 2-seamer. Bust him inside. Usually get him to jam, beat a ball in the ground, swing and miss.
Both sitting in the low 90s for the most part. He'll mix in a very solid slider that sits in the mid 80s, along with a decent curveball that'll sit around 78 to 80 miles an hour.
So that's it, huh? 2-seam, 4-seam fastball slider. No, not even a changeup? Everybody has a changeup.
He'll mix in a very solid slider that sits in the mid 80s, along with a decent curveball that'll sit around 78 to 80 miles an hour.
Okay.
In Sugano's career in Japan over 8 seasons, he had a record.
Yeah, you can definitely see that delay in his delivery. He just sort of...
In Sugano's career in Japan over
Hold.
8 seasons, he had a record of 101-50 with an ERA of
I wonder if he switches it up at all.
2.35 and a strikeout.
And Michael's saying the opposite. Consistent mechanics is a common trait for Japanese pitchers. But if you had the ability to sort of mix up your timing with that little delay,
per 9 rate of 8.0.
that would really throw
This also
batters
included
off.
3 seasons in which he had an ERA below 2. What has made Sugano so successful, though, is his pinpoint control. This has been shown by a very low 1.8 walk.
1.8 walks per 9. And look, folks, last year it was half of that. 16 walks in 156 innings. That's 1 walk every 10 innings. So that's less than a walk per 9. Less than 16 in 100. I mean, that's like Eckersley out of the bullpen in 89 kind of control. He doesn't walk anybody. So that's good news because we don't have to worry about Adley trying to throw a runner out at second. I'm just kidding, Adley. Let's get it back. Yeah, pinpoint control. You have to. That's the thing. If you don't have the velocity, you got to have the command, and that's what Sugano's got. But he's got elite command. And if you've got elite command, and by the way, $13 million, again, just for people who are saying, why so much money? I mean, just to give you an idea, John Gray's making $13 million for the Rangers. Tyler Anderson's making $13 million for the Angels. Antonio Cinzatella is a $13 million starter for the or $12 million starter for the Rockies. So don't sit here and tell me. And again, Severino just signed for $15 million for multiple years for a team going nowhere. So yeah, in terms of like the reaction by Oriole fans, it should be nothing but optimism because again, this is another one of these signings that was under everybody's radar. Nobody was talking about this. Nobody. Just like last year in February when we went out there and traded for Burnes. I'm not saying this guy is Burnes, but what I'm saying is the Orioles, when everybody's sitting around going, well, why aren't we making moves? Like, first of all, there's a long way to go in the winter. And second of all, there's still a lot of names out there on the board, especially if you're talking making trades. And that's where our strong suit is, folks. You've got certain teams out there with giant payrolls, and their answer to outbidding a player for a player with other teams is to simply throw more money at said player. And teams like the Yankees and the Mets and the Dodgers and the Red Sox and Toronto to an extent, and even the Cubs or the Giants a little bit. But if you can't win that way, the way you win is by getting the better player in trades. So, like, for example, Dylan Cease is an available arm, allegedly, for trade. Our job as an organization, since we don't have the money to just splurge on whatever top talent at the peak of their career that hits the free agent market, if we can't compete for those players, what we do is that we excel at drafting. We excel at developing those drafted players. We turn them into blue chip prospects, and that can not only play for us, but once we've got a surplus or if we're a little backed up at a position or two, now we've got capital, trade capital, to turn some of those players via trade into an arm. And that is a way to do it, and it's a much cheaper way to do it. It's a way to keep that payroll consistently, not crazy, and it keeps you away from these 8-year contracts that, let's face it, 75% of the time, by the time you get halfway to 2/3 of the way through a deal like that, you're going, why the hell did I make this deal? We've still got 2-3 years left with this, and this is a giant hole, and it's just money burning in our payroll. So yeah, Sasaki, 1 year, $13 million. Worst case scenario, he just doesn't translate to the show here. or perhaps his age does start to catch up with him, and this happens to be the year it happens. But I if anything, I think that's the least probable thing. Again, he does seem to take care of himself. He's been pretty healthy throughout his career. If you want to take a look at his actual stats, I mean, why not? Let's head on over and check this out. God, he was born in the 80s. Folks, he was born in the 80s. He's an 80s kid. All right, so a little hard to read here. I want to see innings pitched. That, to me, is one of the more important stats. All right, so as you can see, that is a concern. He did reach 200 innings once, and that's pretty much at the peak of his career, 28 years old. But yeah, last year for Yomiuri, 15-3 record, a 1.67 ERA. But apparently, wait, that can't be right. He is a starter, isn't he? Is he a starter or not? How the hell did he get up to 156 innings as he wasn't starting? But it says right here, game started, and it's a big blank. I don't know if that's accurate or not. Hold on. Some evaluators consider him a potential frontline starter for a contender, while others thought he was more of a middle-of-the-rotation arm. Okay, so he's a starter. I just think for some reason Baseball Reference wasn't keeping up with this stat, because I sincerely doubt that he went like 7 straight years without making a start. You can't sit there with records like 14-2 with a sub-2 ERA out of the bullpen. I mean, it can happen, but anyway, we're looking at a lifetime 12 years at all levels ERA of 2.45, folks. A sub 2.5 ERA over a 12-year career. Not shabby. Not shabby at all. And again, the walks per 9 are ridiculous. Again, last year, under 1, 0.9. Year before that, 1.1. So, yeah, the command has only gotten better with age. So, yeah, look, I don't know about you guys. I would much rather have a guy with an ERA like this who doesn't walk anybody versus a guy that strikes out, like Crochet. Apparently he's going to strike out 200 guys. Why don't we do this? Let's compare Crochet's season to Sugano's season at the end of 2025. And we'll figure out who made the right move. Because we definitely got the least risky and cheapest of the two options, in my humble view. Right. So just the 4 pitches. Let's see. Does it compare him to anybody else? Who does he comp with over here? Or they don't do that here? They only do that for major leaguers? Last global tournament, Japan used him in the late innings. Thank you, Edward. So that I would understand. Yeah. And just like that's why Ohtani was pitching a Trout for the final out. Sounds like he's avoided injuries as well. I mean, yeah, let's take a look at, again, starting from here. Oh, wait, this is batting. Sorry. I mean, he's definitely pitched well over 100 innings every year. 2014 split between 2, so that's why there's a 2 there. This is another split. This is another split. And even 2020. Oh, you know what? In 2023, he pitched 163. So, yeah. Because these are split between two places. 86 and 77 innings. So that's 163 and 2/3 between those two teams. So, yeah. Has stayed healthy the whole damn time. And you know what, folks? There's something to say about not throwing really hard and having good mechanics and having good command. That's how you pitch to be 35 and still be effective. Yeah, Red Sox got Crochet, and that's what I'm saying. I'd love to see this versus Crochet in terms of at least the 1 year. Yeah, they gave up top prospects. All we did was make a signing. And for $13 million, again, I don't know why anybody's saying that's crazy money. It's not. It's just not. Yes, Mr. Hyde. Again, if we look back, if you just if you YouTube search Tomoyuki Sugano, everything's from a few years ago, and everything's people praising the potential he would have if he came to join the Cubs, if he came to join the Angels, if he came to join the Mets. Everybody was saying, oh, I want this guy, I want this guy, I want this guy. Well, guess what? The Orioles got him. Got him a few years later, and it's only going to be for 1 year, although we could re-sign him if things go well. But yeah, that's great. That's great. We picked up a guy that everybody had forgotten about, even though he's still putting up big numbers. Because again, the emphasis for a lot of teams out there and GMs is looking at the age and looking at their velocity. And those are the two strikes against Sugano. But I'm saying, who cares about age if it's a 1 year deal? And who cares about velocity if you've got elite command and you're giving up less than 1 walk per 9 and your ERA lifetime is 2.5 or whatever the hell it is? I mean, yeah, I'm excited, guys. Right? I don't think he's going to be named the opening day starter, but I guess that'll all depend on what other arm we do need to add, and we do need to add one more starting arm to this equation. But I'm feeling a whole lot better now. I'm feeling a whole lot better about not re-signing Burnes, even though I'm not completely ruling that out. And I'm also, I'm feeling confident that via trade or free agency, I mean, this free agent, again, $13 million, that's chicken scratch. If we went out there and traded for Luis Castillo, who's making $24 million a year over the next 3 to 4 years, he's got a vesting option for the 4th year. If he reaches like 180 innings, that 4th year kicks in, which means, well, he must still be being pretty productive. If that deep into his contract, he's still being a workhorse for you, you'll be happy to let that option for the final year take place. But, yeah, if Castillo comes over here, he's only at $24 million a year, okay? Which ain't bad. But, again, Cease... Here's the deal. We're signing Yamamoto. We're signing Sugano, Rob, for this 1 year deal. So I'm thinking, if this is our 1 year deal guy, then I want the other arm to be a multi-year deal guy. And Dylan Cease is just for the 1 year. Same with Valdez. And even though I admittedly have already said I would prefer to target Valdez, again, that's simply because of the leftiness of him. I'd like to get a left-hander in there to be a change of pace with the 4 remaining right-handers in the rotation. This is all assuming Cade Povich is not in the rotation. But yeah, with Castillo, you're getting 3 or maybe 4 years. And yeah, so because if you go get Sasaki and Cease, both those guys are gone next year. You know what I mean? And now you got to figure out two spots to fill again. Whereas if you do what I'm saying, you get a 1 year guy like this, and then you trade for a guy that's got a few years. Now you've only got one thing to address next year, and you got another base covered for a few years. I like to have some things covered for a few years. But with pitching, it's that sweet spot. That's why I love Castillo, because If you go to free agency, everybody who's a stud, they want 6, 7, 8 years. And then everybody who, has some upside but had a bad year, they want that 1 year prove it deal. I'm looking for that good pitcher that'll take that 3 to 4 year deal. And those are so hard to find. But if you can trade for one, that's a whole lot easier. And that's where Castillo is. He's on a already established contract. We know how much he's getting paid. It's $24 million. That's not outlandish. And again, it's 3 to 4 years, depending on whether or not the option year kicks in. It's perfect. And guess what? I was debating some trade possibilities. According to the trade evaluator, if we offered Castillo, Ryan Mountcastle, and Ramon Arias straight up, that's enough to get Castillo. That's enough. Now, if there's other teams who are now in contention. By the way, if you guys have been following me on my Discord or whenever I've been talking during the retro games or whatever, I've been talking about Luis Castillo now since like the week after the World Series as a guy we should be targeting. And now he's everywhere. Now every team's talking about him. So I don't want to hear any of this, Your boy was on top of Castillo. It just makes too much sense between what the Mariners need and what we have to give them and vice versa. We met with him. But now everybody's meeting with him, Rob. That's the problem. We if we wanted to get a deal done under the radar like we did here with Sugano, we should have probably gotten it done with Castillo already. Because now there's other teams who are saying, well, I want Castillo. The Red Sox want Castillo. I mean, so the more teams that get in on the trade war, the more we're probably going to have to give up to get them. But still, my thing is, if we can give up Mountcastle and Arias and then maybe throw in like a Judd Fabian, just like an outfielder prospect, not Kerstad. Even if it takes Dylan Beavers, who's like our 6th rated prospect right now. If it took that, let's do it. Let's do it. And let's get Luis Castillo in here. Do you feel we will re-sign Santander? Bruce, my gut says no, but I will say this. If Burnes is out of the equation, which is looking pretty good, and if we're making shrewd moves like we have been, where Tyler O'Neill, yes, it is 3 years, but there's an opt-out after 1 year. We just got Sugano, 1 year. Gary Sanchez, 1 year. So while the payroll for the 2025 season is increasing, the long-term payroll is still very much not a problem. And yeah, if something happened, I don't think a lot of teams are really interested in getting Santander. I think a lot of people are thinking the same thing that, realistic Oriole fans are thinking, which is he probably just came off his career best year, and he looks like the classic case of a guy that you're paying for stats that he already put up, not the stats that he's going to put up for you. But look, if you're an Orioles fan, you love Anthony Santander, right? He's a good clubhouse guy. He's great to have around. I'd love to bring him back. Hey, Tony, and speaking of you, but yeah, here's the deal. Ced Mullins might get traded. If we can figure out a way to trade Ced Mullins, which isn't an impossibility. If we figure out a way to trade Ced Mullins, move Colton Cowser into center field as our everyday center fielder, and folks, I think he can do it. I think he got robbed of a gold glove playing left field last year. I think Cowser is fine in center. You stick Tyler O'Neill in right, and then you go out there and you sign. You stick Tyler O'Neill in left because the wall's been moved back in. And O'Neill's been playing left field more than right field. Not that that's a huge difference, but yeah, O'Neill's more accustomed to left field. So you put him there. And then, maybe you do re-sign Tony and just put him back in right field. The only thing that would do, though, well, not necessarily. Yeah, because if Mullins is, that would be my answer. Trade Ced Mullins if you want to re-sign Anthony Santander. Move Cowser to center. Have Tony on one corner, O'Neill on the other, and then Kjerstad and O'Neill platooning a little bit. All right. Let's see what else I can find on Sugano here. What the hell? Yeah, see right here. Look at all these teams that apparently are in for Luis Castillo now. The Mets, the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, the Braves, apparently. I see their logo in there. So, yeah. Let's watch Sugano warm up for a minute. Bruce, I agree with you, but here's the deal. This is Mullins' last year in his before he's a free agent. I don't think realistically we're going to sign him because, Bruce, we've got Enrique Bradfield Jr. perfectly timed to be the center fielder going forward. And then you got Vance Honeycutt, who people are saying is already a better fitted to get to the show even quicker than Bradfield, even though he was drafted a year later. But yeah, Bradfield is definitely, if he's going to be the future, Mullins is going to have to, between his contract running out and Bradfield coming up, I think we should sign Walker Buehler if we get rid of Burnes. Well, first of all, Burnes is gone. It's a matter of whether or not we're going to pay him to come back. And I don't think we will. And I don't think Walker Buehler is a bad addition. But again, that's going to probably... yeah. I don't... I'm iffy on Buehler. I like the up... It's definitely a risk-reward guy. It depends on the contract, I think. I think he wants a lot of options for a prove-it kind of deal because, he didn't have the best season. He's trying to prove that he is the Buehler before the Tommy John and all that. Mateo is coming back, Michael. I don't know if he's going to be 100% ready for opening day, but I don't think it'll be too much longer after that. He should be seen down in Florida in the spring. And yeah, here's the deal. If we trade Ramon Arias with Ryan Mountcastle to get a Luis Castillo, God, it's like giving away nothing. No offense to Mountcastle or Castillo, but with Mountcastle, all you do is plug in Kobe Mayo for what that spot is, which is platooning at first base with Ryan O'Hearn. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, maybe DHing some as well, right? So Mayo is there, and that gives Mayo his path. And then with Mateo coming back, then you've got Mateo as a middle infield backup. Then Emmanuel Rivera is still with the team, guys. I don't know if everybody knew that, but Emmanuel Rivera, remember that guy we picked up? Helped us out there at first and third down the stretch when we had all those injuries. He's still on the 40-man roster. So if we were to offload Arias, I could totally see Rivera stepping in for that role. And that would be a little more balanced because he's a first and third guy, whereas Arias is like a second and third base guy. And Mateo should be like a second base shortstop guy who can play outfield a little bit. But yeah, if you've got Rivera and Mateo and Mayo sort of as your backup infielders, I think that's perfect. So I think Arias can go and Mountcastle can go, and you're not really losing anything. But with the outfield, yeah, you've got a lot of big prospects, mainly Honeycutt and Bradfield, making their way up. So Ced Mullins, if there's an outfielder next to leave, that would be the guy. Now, trust me, I love Ced Mullins. I've spent countless time defending Ced Mullins. Right. So you're talking about your established infield. Right. Just imagine against a right-handed pitcher, a team that looks like this. O'Hearn starts at first, Holiday at second, Gunnar at third, Gunnar at short, Westberg at third. So you've already got three of those four infielders from the left side. You got Rutschman switching behind the plate. You got Cowser and O'Neill in the outfield. As of right now, you can pick Mullins or Kjerstad, I guess. That's another thing that could happen if we don't pick up anybody. You could have a situation where Kjerstad is still getting like 400 at-bats. It's just that when he takes away some of the at-bats from Tyler O'Neill against right-handed pitching because O'Neill is much better against lefties. Maybe you don't want to play O'Neill every day against righties, so he takes some there. And then you also just maybe don't want to see Mullins play every day because of performance or something. And again, you can move Cowser over to center, have O'Neill play left and Kjerstad in right, and Kjerstad can get at bats that way in place of Mullins. There's definitely ways for Kjerstad to get some. I mean, I want to see Kjerstad get at least 350, 400 at bats this year to get a real idea of what he can do. But yeah, if you're talking about defensive coverage for Mullins going forward, Bradfield looks the real deal. The question on Bradfield is whether or not he can hit at a major league level. All the other tools are already there, including arm. But to upgrade the arm at center field when Mullins is your current arm, that's not a high bar. Mullins might have the weakest arm of any regular starting center fielder in baseball. That's his only real negative characteristic. It's just that he's got a spaghetti noodle arm. What are you going to do? But anyway, let's watch. Why aren't we watching this? And by the way, another reason why Arias might make sense in a package with Mountcastle to go to the Mariners. He can play third base there, and it would be an upgrade immediately. Also, it would be a reunion. For the birdwatcher fans who know their history, you might be aware of the controversy surrounding the Arias brothers. I have a brother? That's right. Luis Arias is a Mariner as well, or at least was. So, that could be appealing. They get the brothers back. The cool thing about Mullins, though, he doesn't usually have to throw it since he catches it. Yeah. It's just, it's usually situations like he makes a great catch and a runner's at second. It's, a runner tagging and going to third from second base on a fly ball to Mullins. Like, it's just automatic because, people can run when he's, All right, anyway, warming up. Our newest Oriole, folks. Boy, even when warming up, he takes his time, huh? I hope he's aware of this pitch clock thing. Oh, wait, this is taken in slow motion? Okay. Now it makes a little more sense. All right. Little tip of the cap. Uh-oh, what's he rubbing up there? He's doctoring the baseball. Oh, my God, it's going to take forever to get into the windup here. This whole video is 2 pitches. Yeah, I'll look, Rob. I'll look. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Orioles Hall of Fame one day, for sure. Folks, it's just the nature of the business. It's the same thing with Santander. It's not like I'm happy to see Santander go if he doesn't get re-signed. I won't be happy when Mullins goes. It's just baseball, I wasn't happy to see Eddie Murray join the Dodgers in '88 or whatever it was. And then he gets to be on the Kirk Gibson team while we sit there and go 0-21. That ain't fair. Okay, this is a report 3 weeks ago about the Giants looking at Sugano. So this is this offseason. Now, if the Giants were looking at him, and we're both looking at Burnes, that's the other thing, by the way. We managed to Do you understand that how important it is that we were able to sign a established Japanese player that's like a star from their league? Because for the most part, these guys don't want to come to the East Coast. The ones that do will usually settle for doing it as long as it's a big market. You know, teams like us, it seems like we'll never get a Japanese star player, but we just got one. Again, he's at the end of his career, but he's still putting up great numbers. How old is Nate Eovaldi? So nobody should really be... Isn't Eovaldi like 34? Oh, yeah, he's 30. Yeah, so he's 1 year older. In fact, Eovaldi will be 35 in February before the season starts. So they're virtually the same age. So I don't want to hear any of this too old nonsense.
Go Giants are reportedly keeping an eye on one of Japan's top pitchers, Tomoyuki Sugano, and may sign him this offseason.
Who's that?
Sugano, 35, has spent 12 seasons.
Oh, God. This is one of those, like, AI put-together videos. I hate these. Hey, here is some data on Sugano from a Japanese video game. Is this helpful? There's all his stats. He throws 155 kilometers an hour. That sounds fast. I'm going to guess that's his ERA. Hilarious. Oh, hey, look at this. Somebody's already popping up the shorts. Would you look at that? Hey! As I'm refreshing, other people are uploading the Sugano news. I was wondering, because I got to tell you, man, nobody talked about Tyler O'Neill signing in terms of content creators on YouTube and social media spaces. And I guess it's because I think it was the day later that Soto signed or whatever. I don't know, but somebody signed somewhere the next day. And it's kind of like it went... When Farrah Fawcett passed away, like Michael Jackson died on the same day, and then everybody forgot Farrah Fawcett died. Why am I laughing? I don't know. Nervous laughter. All right, so we're getting a 4-pitch pitcher. Murray went to the Dodgers first. He was on the 88 team that beat the A's. Gibson, 2 bad knees. Was he not? Then he went to Cleveland well after that. I think he was somewhere else before he went to Cleveland. You want some more stuff on Sugano? I'm looking. Update on Sugano's free agency 3 years ago. The Master of Control. According to the video we just watched, Rob, he throws a 2-seam, 4-seam, slider, and curve. He doesn't even have a changeup, which I think is weird. That's a little worrying to me. I mean, obviously it's worked for him, but that combination of 4 pitches, because the curve and the slider, the velocity is pretty much the same. You know, one's moving a little more 12 to 6, the other's moving a little more like, 3 to 9 or whatever the hell you call it, or 2 to 8. But. Yeah, 2-seam, 4-seam, low 90s. Sugano to the Mets. Mets targeting Sugano. Again, this is all from years ago now. You talking about Sugano, Rob? Yeah, if he were throwing triple digits, that was a decade ago. He's 35, and his fastball tops out 92. They say once or twice in a game he can, like, reach into the tank and throw it like 95, but that's it. And he's not throwing 100. He's not throwing 99, 98. Definitely not 102. But that's the deal with him. I mean, if he could do that, Rob, people would be talking about him more. That was, again, I don't know how long you've been here since I started streaming, but those are the two biggest appealing factors with arms in baseball that people want. They want the young arm and that with the velocity, and those are the two things Sugano doesn't have. He's not young and he doesn't throw that hard, but he's effective, and that's what matters. Again, if you look at his lifetime ERA of 2.45. That's over the course of 1,873 innings, which is, well over a decade worth of pitching every single 5 days. And you're posting a sub 2.5 ERA. I'm not worried about the strikeouts. Even if you go back, though, with the Ks, yeah, he did have a 200K season. The 1 year he got the 200 innings. But even then, it was under one per inning. He's not a 9/9 guy. But he was probably closer to an 8/9 guy at the peak of his career. But now he's closer to like a 6/9 guy in terms of strikeout ability. So, yeah, again, folks, I think this is a great signing. And I don't think anybody's going to see it that way. I feel like it's going to be a situation where he's either going to be so undervalued, like such a steal, that everybody else around the league is going to be going like, why the hell didn't we think to do that? I forgot about Sugano. We could have gotten him for 1 year for that cheap. Look what he's doing. Or he's completely going to faceplant. But the beauty of this is that if it's worst case scenario, it's not investing 8 years into something. It's not investing $250 million into something. It's so worth the risk reward. It's good business. It's just good business. And again, this isn't the solution to replace Corbin Burnes. But if you can get a guy like this in Castillo, you combine their two salaries, $24 million, $13 million. That's $37 million. That's pretty much what Corbin Burnes wants alone. So we could be potentially solving the loss of Burnes by adding two good arms that actually makes our overall rotation better for the same price without the commitment in time. How did we get him, Mr. Hyde? How did we get Sugano under everybody's nose? I have to think the same way we got Burnes through a trade last February under everybody's nose. Nobody was talking about that. Nobody had that predicted or rumored. Oh, and that's the other thing. Yeah, I mean, obviously, thank you, Rob. Sugano has had some history, whether it be in the playoffs, World Baseball Classic, whatever, big stages where they've used him out of the bullpen, and he's okay with that. He seems like a lot of Japanese players, which is to say he's not an ego guy. He just wants to help a team win, and he loves to play baseball. I want more players like this, please. And I also like that. I know this sounds ridiculous. Maybe I am starting to BS a little bit, but I like the fact that he's 35. I want a veteran presence like this, and I think could be the kind of presence that Roki Sasaki looks at and goes, because look, Sasaki's what, 23? He grew up watching this guy be one of the better pitchers in the league over there. I could totally see Sasaki going, yeah, I'm looking for a mid-market club that's got some upside, but, I was thinking about the Orioles, but they don't have any other Japanese players. Am I going to be able to, integrate over there without a whole lot of friction? I don't know. But now you got a guy over there that can be your mentor. Saw an early ranking and the O's are fifth. What, just in terms of like power rankings as a team? Just based on how the rosters look right now? Well, I'll tell you this. Once Juan Soto left the American League East, without us making any additions, we have the number one talented team in the AL East. That is, I know it's an opinion, but I just have to believe it because I remember what the Yankees looked like before they got Soto, and they were 82-80, and they have yet to show me. Yeah, they got Devin Williams to close. They've got Max Fried. That's not enough. That's not fixing a lineup that even with Soto was a team that, you know, once you got through Judge and Soto, wasn't too difficult to handle. They've got a lot of work to do there. So, yeah, I mean, Boston might make a couple of more moves that's going to push them ahead of the Yankees for me. And I think Bregman's going to Boston. Bregman was on the trash can team, Calvin. The Yankees aren't going to want any of the trash can Astros. They were willing to go for Tucker because he came like the year after the trash can year. But Bregman was there. The Yankees don't want anything to do with the trash can players from Houston. I think Bregman's going to Boston. Santander, maybe. I think what you're going to find, Calvin, is Cody Bellinger going to the Yankees because it's too much of a fit. I know Tucker's already in Chicago, and that's part of my explanation as to why Bellinger is going to New York because the Cubs just got Kyle Tucker. Cody Bellinger was already considered trade bait before they landed Tucker, and now they've got Tucker. Bellinger's definitely packing his bags. And because it's so obvious that Bellinger needs to get moved, the Cubs probably aren't going to get back and trade what they could have otherwise because teams dealing with them now are going to know that they kind of have to get rid of them. But yeah, I see Bellinger going to the Yankees. I see Bregman going to Boston. I think that just makes the most sense for both those teams. The Red Sox are desperately in need of a right-handed bat. You thought the Orioles lineup was lefty heavy, and we had to go get a guy like Tyler O'Neill to kind of balance things out. Look at Boston's lineup; it's nothing but lefties. After they got rid of Tyler O'Neill, so yeah, Bregman just makes too much sense over there. It allows Rafi Devers to move to first base, where maybe he won't make 30 errors a season. It's just the right move for Boston. Anywho, any other questions, guys? I don't know. I just I think this is the beginning. This is the beginning of some good news coming up. Now, I think the deal with Sasaki is, I mean, I already know, but like he's got like a specific window in January. When will Roki Sasaki sign? It's like mid-January until anybody can sign him. No, I'm not surprised. It does seem like the Astros are kind of rebuilding while attempting to remain competitive. And they got Paredes back, right? Paredes is no slouch. He should hit some Crawford box home runs. Yeah. Yeah, I just think Bellinger is probably going there, Calvin. Because I don't know. Everywhere I look, it's Bellinger's, and I think Tony's going to wind up with a team that isn't like the Yankees. I think he's going to go to a place like the Reds. A journeyman? I think that's a little bit harsh. I think that's a little harsh for Paredes. A journeyman? Really? A journeyman? That's harsh, man. Let me take a look at this guy. I mean, last year was bad, but he really face planted with the Cubs. He really did. I mean, 2023, 31 homers, 98 RBI, 840 OPS. Following season, he made the All-Star team. Oh, wait, no. What's that star mean? Never mind. All right, so yeah, last year wasn't great, but the year before that was fine. 31 homers, 98 RBI. And he's what? He's 25 years old. How's he a journeyman? He's a 25-year-old that's already got a 30-homer, 100 RBI season under his belt. And now he's about to go play in the shortest left field in baseball, where you can just hit regular fly balls that drops into the Crawford boxes. Journeyman? I don't know, man. Don't you have to be over 25 to be a journeyman? Steve Perry. Now that's a journeyman. All right. I'm just kidding. I'm running out of steam. Anything else? Yeah, I guess my major talking points with this move is one, we've signed a starting pitcher, which we had to, and if we had to wait any longer to do it, I was up, my hair had been falling out, so I can rest a little bit easier knowing. And yeah, this should make our ability to narrow down what we want. Yeah, when you need two arms and you're waiting and names are coming off the board, like the pressure just mounts, and with pressure that just seems to increase the odds of overpaying for somebody or settling for a contract for maybe a player you weren't really that big on. Like say Jack Flaherty, for example. Flaherty's still out there. There's been discussion that he's open to the idea, and the Orioles are open to the idea of a reunion because of a couple of factors. The Orioles, on their end, they're convinced that, yeah, Flaherty came over in that deadline trade a couple of years ago and was terrible, but they chalked that up to, look, that was his first full season back from major surgery. It was his first full season in 4 years. So it would make sense that perhaps he had just hit a wall with his innings, and it just happened to coincide when we got. Now, if you remember, when we got Flaherty, his first start was great. That first start, he looked like we really pulled something off. All right, but then then the wheels came up. But then you look at last year. Now that he had time to build that stamina back up, now he's gone a full season, healthy. He's looking better, and the Orioles are saying, hey, different guy now. Meanwhile, for Flaherty, you might be thinking, well, why would I want to go back to Baltimore where I hated it there? And apparently there was some beef between him and the pitching coach prior to Drew French, whoever that, I can't remember his name. But anyway, there was beef there. So, but that guy's gone. So Flaherty's like, okay, well, I'm open. Yeah. So, but still, all this to say, I'm not excited about potentially taking a chance on somebody that burns you a second time. Anyway, I can't make any good points anymore. Retreads. Look, I mean, Flaherty's still relative. Flaherty's a good pitcher. He is. It was just bad timing for us. I really believe that. We got Flaherty when we shouldn't have got him. And, the same might be true with Rogers from Florida. Look, I still think Norby and Stowers was way too much to get that guy. But he did make some nice starts down the stretch in AAA. He's working on some stuff. I'm not going to completely discount Rogers. He could wind up helping us out in some way, maybe even in the bullpen. As long as the Orioles don't unload a slew of draft capital in a trade, they save themselves with turning down the Crochet proposal. Yeah, I mean, look, it depends on what you want. if you want Crochet, you have to give up a lot because of how much control that's left and how much he's already proven. That's why he's going to command more in a trade than other guys. But you look at a guy like a Framber Valdez. Valdez is a ace. He's an all-star. I think he pitched a no-hitter last year. He's proven. But the reason why he can be had for so cheap is just the fact that you're only getting him for 1 year. It's the same thing with Corbin Burnes. Last year, we got Corbin Burnes for DL Hall and help me out here, Joey Ortiz, right? I think if you're going after a guy like Dylan Cease or Framber Valdez, you can get them for a similar trade amount, if not even less. Because I do think Burnes is considered a better, more talented piece than those other guys, Cease and Castillo. I think Burnes is like one tier above that, and we were able to get him for Ortiz and Hall. So I'm thinking for Dylan Cease, I think you can give him like our version of DL Hall now, which I think is Cade Povich, a lefty starter. And then you throw in an outfield prospect because the Padres with Cease, they just want to do a salary dump. They're not interested in taking on any money. So what they want is a couple of guys who are making minor league money. And they're not necessarily looking for an arm or looking for a bat. So we'll give them one of each. You give them Povich, and you give them Dylan Beavers. Boom, done. To me, you give them Povich and Beavers. That's very similar to a Hall and Ortiz combo for Corbin Burnes. And I think it's fair. I think it helps both teams. Now, it's unfortunate that Burnes comes over, only gives us 1 year, starts a playoff game, goes into the ninth inning, tossing an absolute gem, and can't have a single run scored for him. That stinks. So we got to do better than that. Hopefully, whatever ace we land might want to return. Because I think that's another reason why Burnes really isn't that keen on returning after. I mean, sometimes that's all it takes, folks. Sometimes it's all it takes is just one moment. Like right now, I don't think Garrett Cole is ever going to be the same after that miscommunication between him and Anthony Rizzo at first base in that nightmare fifth inning in the World Series for the Yankees. Sometimes little moments like that in a career can absolutely change the way. Can we talk? I'm glad Michael brought that up, folks. We can lose Burnes and still be good. We won 101 games without him, right? Let me also add this. Juan Soto. The Padres gave him away to the Yankees. They got back a shit ton of prospects, and you know what else the Padres did? They did better without Soto than they did with him. So just think about that. I love how the Yankees are saying, well, I can't believe he left for the money. You guys offered him so much money. Yeah, Calvin. You don't see it, but a lot of other people do, including the Mariners. It's just a matter of surplus and money. Yes, he is under team control for a few years, and that's what makes him appealing to get in a trade. Mountcastle's got a couple of years of control, and they need bats. They've got arms. They've got Gilbert. They've got Kirby. They've got Brian Wu. They've got Miller. That's four guys right there that would be like an ace or number two on anybody else's team. And all those guys are making pennies. Castillo's making $24 million. They can get rid of that. And they probably want to. They've got a surplus there. By the way, if Sasaki goes to the Mariners, then Castillo's definitely leaving. And never count out a Japanese player picking Seattle, because that is sort of where it all started. Now, there's a lot of built-in infrastructure to make it, nice and cozy for a Japanese player to come over and play. Yep, no luxury box for Soto. And how about no deferred money in that contract from the Mets? I wouldn't be sad to see Mountie ride out of Baltimore, give Mayo a chance. Yeah, but Calvin, I just think it's time. The timing is right. I think Elias probably looked down on a piece of paper a year and a half ago and saw this coming, which was Mountcastle's contract winding down, Mayo developing up, and how one is sort of a natural replacement for the other. Yeah, I'm looking at making trades right now where we're giving up. Yeah, we're giving up some nice pieces, but we're also not really sacrificing anything anywhere, if you know what I mean. If we give up Mountcastle, that's not really a sacrifice for us. He was already kind of in a platoon situation, and Kobe Mayo needs to figure out a way to get at bats. I think the best thing to do is to platoon with Ryan O'Hearn. Yeah. Have I been talking too long? And the same goes with Kjerstad. Now that Santander is likely not getting re-signed, we brought in Tyler O'Neill, but I think the reason why we targeted a guy like O'Neill rather than Santander or Teoscar Hernandez is that if you sign those other guys who are going to command more money, more years, they're going to expect to play every day. With Tyler O'Neill, especially with everyone being aware of his drastic splits between hitting lefties versus hitting righties, it just seems like O'Neill is that right fit to allow Kjerstad the opportunity to get some regular playing time. And don't you guys want that? I mean, it's time. If Kjerstad's ever going to break in and be something, the prospect window is done. What is he, 26? He's the same age as Juan Soto. It's time for him to start his career. How old is Kjerstad? I think he's 26 now. Oh, he's 25. He'll be 26 before the season starts, though. He'll be 26 in February. So, yeah, I mean, this is his age 26 season coming up. It's time. It's time to throw him out there as much as possible. And that's why I think O'Neill makes more sense than spending the extra money, committing the extra years to a guy like a Teoscar Hernandez. Yeah, Calvin, I talked about that earlier. The idea of Mullins getting traded on the last year of his deal. That'll allow Cowser to move over to center field, which I think he can cover as a placeholder at least until Bradfield Jr. comes up, which could be at some point near the end of the season or near the end of the 2025 season. Just depends on development, if there's any setbacks or injuries and stuff, But if the progression is going well, then we might only need a guy like Cowser. Cowser is a really good fielder, guys. I've been watching some Cowser highlights. I think the Orioles put out a video within the last couple of days that was like a highlight package of like the best catches of the season. And obviously Mullins was in there with a lot of those catches, but Cowser probably had as many. And these catches were ranked by like catch probability, the stat track, and Cowser, he's such a big dude. His strides are so long, and he's fast, and he's fearless when he gets near a wall or whatever. He can be running full speed, whether it's to the foul line up against the side wall or straight back to the outfield wall. Dude does not hesitate. He's got a strong arm. I think he needs a little work on the accuracy with that arm. I'm not sure about that, Michael, but what I am sure of is that whether or not he has a Gold Glove award or not, and he doesn't, not yet. He's a Gold Glover, Colton Cowser. He's a Platinum Glover, whatever you want to say. He is a top defensive player in the outfield, which is great. And again, if they want to move Mullins on, I'm fine with Cowser as an everyday center fielder for now, especially with the wall moved in from left, because not only does that make left field more playable for a guy like Tyler O'Neill, it just takes more pressure off the center fielder to come over and help, cover all that ground over there. I feel like center fielders were always playing a step or two toward left center because of just how huge it is out there. Now you don't necessarily have to do that. And, so even if Cowser doesn't necessarily, let's say, and a ball in the air for 9.5 seconds, Mullins can cover, 148 feet, and Cowser can only cover 135 or something like that. You know what I mean? That's the only. Yeah, whatever. I'm talking too much. Anything else? Has Mateo ever played the outfield? A little bit, Michael. A little bit of center field. Hasn't looked too comfortable out there, but it wasn't a disaster either. All right, so that's what we're looking at right now, folks. Welcome to the Baltimore Orioles. Tomoyuki Sugano. Hopefully we sign Burnes. Psychotic, if he winds up signing for the Giants, I say more power to you. As long as we sign one of Castillo, I say sign, trade. As long as we make a trade for a guy that we can consider as our opening day type ace, a Castillo or a Cease or a Valdez. If we can get one of those guys, we're good. And in fact, I would say if we're even in the running for Burnes, and the fact that we're getting Sugano for $13 million a year, the fact that Castillo would set us back $24 million, O'Neill's $17.5 million. Manaya's in my running, Calvin. He's in my running. I just feel like he wants more money than he deserves, but if we overspend a little bit there to get that lefty starter that we don't really have right now, I'm okay with it. That's the one lefty on the free agent market I'm okay with, but that's why I'd rather trade for Valdez than sign Manaya, because I'd rather give up the pieces for Valdez than give up the cash for Manaya, who probably want at least 3 years. It wouldn't be a terrible signing. I'm kind of indifferent about Manaya. I can see, depending on how we're looking, that I'd be happy with it. I could see, depending on how we're looking, that maybe we could have found something a little better or a little cheaper. Thank God for these new owners. We can actually do stuff now. Hey, how about that? What's up with Bradish? Latest I've seen is that he's on track to come back and be ready to go around the All-Star break next year. So he'll be missing for the first half. And I think Tyler Wells is on a similar... Yeah, remember Tyler Wells, folks? He's still around. I think Wells is on a similar trajectory in terms of coming back. But Felix Bautista, hey, there's somebody that'll be ready for opening day. But yeah, the point I was going to make was that, look, if we were ready to give Burnes somewhere around $40 million a year, and Sugano and Castillo combined is only 37, I say we take a few more million and go out there and get a really good bullpen arm. Now, maybe Tanner Scott is out of our price range. And I know he was an Oriole in the past, and he wasn't very good when he was. But that was a long time ago. But I really, I just want our bullpen to be a little bit better than it is. I mean, obviously, everybody wants their bullpen to be better than it is, and improvements always. But I guess what I mean to say is, I want a real bulldog in the bullpen. I guess I want a guy who's going to go out there and grunt and snort and spit and throw gas and get into the hitter. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Like, Who is that guy? I mean, Bautista is going to be that guy for us again, but I want another guy. I want a complimentary guy. Maybe a dedicated 8th inning guy. I don't know. But that's what I want. So, okay. There we go. We got O'Neill. We got Sanchez, backup catcher. We got Sugano as one of our 2 necessary starting pitchers. All that's left is a trade for an ace and some bullpen help. Maybe another bat in there somewhere. It depends. It depends on who we trade away if we are trading. Well, I mean, old ass arm. We just signed Sugano at 35 years old. But hey, he just turned 35. And it's only for 1 year. And I think he's going to be great. I think this could really, really, really be great for us. I mean, nobody really nabbed Jacob Webb. We didn't tender his contract. And so he got signed somewhere else. And I think was it the Rangers who got him? I can't remember. Yeah, Mr. High, that's the hope. The hope is Grayson Rodriguez makes the leap into the ace that we're looking for. He was under our noses this whole time. Yeah, but I think it's probably safe to say Burnes is out of the equation. Yeah, with the Rangers. Right, okay. Yeah, and I think it was something like all we had to do was tender him like $1.7 million, and then he wound up signing with the Rangers for like 1.4 or something, so he wound up actually taking less money. I think that's the way I read it. I don't know. But either way, it seems like we could have held on to Webb if we wanted to. But yeah, Danny Coulombe's gone. Jacob Webb is gone. Ynier Cano, I don't know what to expect from him. Gregory Soto is an interesting case. A lot of people in the organization seem to believe that just a slight mechanical tinker, and he can really be good. Be that bulldog, like can't touch his stuff kind of guy that I'm talking about. But man, oh man, the command, it's bothersome. But we'll see. We'll see. All right, guys. I think that's going to do it for me. Yeah, Suarez in long relief. I think that's immediate. In fact, let's go over the rotation right now because it was Eflin, Grayson, Kramer, Suarez, and Povich. Is that right? Who am I missing? Wait a minute. I'm missing somebody. Zach Eflin, Grayson Rodriguez, Dean Kramer. Rogers I think is a level below, but I mean with a good spring he could be a number 5 guy, or a long reliever, or even like a middle reliever. He's a project. Rogers is going to be a spring project. I think Mike Elias is determined to get something out of this guy because right now it looks like the worst trade in his general managing career. But yeah. So yeah, now we got Sugano. Right. So here we go. Rearranging things. If pitching is the way it is today, I think you got to give Zach Eflin the opening day start. I know it's not sexy, but, you know, he's more of a veteran guy. He was pretty consistent for us down the stretch last year. So I would say Eflin would be your opening day guy. Grayson probably second, and then Sugano third. Kramer fourth. And then who the hell am I missing here? If it's not Albert Suarez or K. Povich. I feel like there's another pitcher I'm just completely forgetting. Maybe I'm thinking of Bradish down the road. No, that's right. That's why we need one more pitcher. So, yeah. I tell you, yeah. So I think right now, I think Povich is your number 5 starter because again, Povich doesn't really help you in long relief, but Suarez can, but not the other way around. Right? McDermott is a prospect. In fact, I think McDermott might wind up being in part of one of these trade packages. I don't know about McDermott making the jump to making a rotation this year. I'm not ruling it out. I'm not ruling it out at all, but I mean, if you're naming a rotation right now, I don't think McDermott is in it. He's had what, one major league start, but he's definitely amongst our prospects. Yeah, Kate at the 5 to begin the season anyway, not that bad. And remember, you got hopefully Bradish coming back mid-season. And again, if we don't sign a lefty, Povich could be that guy as the 5th guy. So yeah, guys, I guess long story short, we're getting there. We may not be signing all the biggest names, but again, I'll state to you, Juan Soto left the Padres, and the Padres got better. You know, the Yankees aren't going to be better without him, though. I can promise you that. Corbin Burnes. I mean, look at the Brewers. The Brewers. Everybody thought, well, God, the Brewers, I guess, don't even want to win. They just traded their ace away. Well, guess what the Brewers did after they traded Burnes? They won their division. They weren't too shabby themselves. They might have been better than they were with Burnes. So, getting guys like Burnes and Juan Soto isn't the be-all, end-all, everybody. I think you've got some very recent examples to prove that. So hang in there. We're making some shrewd moves here. I like the Sugano signing. We need one more arm and a bullpen arm and something else. and we need the new the new hitting coach staff to change the philosophy, get everybody on. Oh, and we also need Sugano to immediately text Roki Sasaki and say, hey, kid, you want to be taught by the best and you want one of those cities that's not too overwhelming for you to adjust in? Come join me in Baltimore. We got something special going on over here. And then we get Roki Sasaki. How's that sound? We'll just add him to the mix. Ah, that would be so good. I think we're done adding major bats, Michael. I think we're done adding major bats. Again, the only thing I could see happening is if we made a trade where like somebody like Mullins got packaged and sent away, and that opened up a spot in the outfield, and then maybe we re-sign Santander because the market is not bullish on him, and we realize, wait a minute, we can get Tony back for like $18 million. We might do that. We thought we'd be going for like 25, 26. But 18, okay. We might do that, even if it has to be like 4 years or something. We might do that. Still might be a mistake. I don't know, but I'd be happy to have that switch hitter back in the middle of the order. I love having a good switch hitter. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me. Reminder: Friday evening, there should be another retro play call. And, we can talk more about Sugano. We can talk a little bit more about the shape of the team, remaining players out there, and what have you. Friday night. Oh, the hat. Did you think I'd go? You think I'd go this whole time without that? The hat. Hey, so, oh, look, I'm not as orange as I used to be. Hey, just another reminder, sometime during this week, this work week and next work week, which is like the holidays, new laptop coming in. Oh, I can't wait. I've already got my my model picked out. Oh, it's right in that. Again, me shopping for a laptop is like the Orioles shopping for pitching talent. You know, I'm looking for quality, but I'm not looking to break the bank. I am doing a lot of digging and research, and I have uncovered my Tomoyuki Sugano. That's right. And so that'll be making its debut here in the next month or so. Anyway, do come by this Friday. If you don't, have a happy holiday to you. And if there is another major signing, I'll pop on and we can talk about it. Until then, folks, I hope you have a good rest of your night. The Orioles, again, I have no idea if this is even having a ripple effect at all in the baseball world. Are people even talking about Sugano right now? Because I saw this pass and tweet drop, and I was working on getting my stream up and running within 2 minutes. It took me about 20 minutes to go live, but within that time, I didn't read any other stuff. I wasn't looking any other places. Are people, 8 o'clock Eastern for the retro game Friday, Michael. And I think we're watching are we watching the Mike Devereaux fair or foul game? I'm not sure. I can't remember what we're watching. I had something picked up, but having a brain cloud right now. But yeah, spread the word, people, because I got to tell you, the off-season turnout for this channel, it's a little bit dicey. It's looking like a Rays game around here, if you know what I mean. All right, folks, have a good rest of your night, and I'll chirp at you later. This has been the Bird Watcher. Take care.